Hello all. Joe Weaver here. Welcome to 2015. I've been putting some information together for the last few weeks to combining the information to try to present my view of the review of 2014 into 2015. And you know, it's amazing to look back to 2013 even, or even 2012, and just see how much things have changed. And it's just to chime the difference. It seems like yesterday that I was doing the video for last year's review. And so let me just start off by talking a little bit about what I shared in last year's 2013 and 2014 review. The biggest point that I made in that video, in that sharing, and then it was coming to me at that time, was that 2014 was the year of us stepping into more of our God self knowingness, our God self beingness, the vibration of that level of our own being. And with that integration comes more aligning with our eternal presence, our eternal knowingness, our eternal what some people describe as 0 point. It's the centered point of our multidimensionality. Our God, say, source spark of cosmic light. So with that integration comes more also our abilities to manifest become more in line. When we were in the more of the separation we basically are in consciousness, in vibration, we are basically having a lag time in our manifestation. And the more that we align with our present moment, within our eternal light and knowingness, we're basically encompassing our manifesting, say, God self abilities. And I usually don't use the word God because so many people have related it to some kind of religion or a belief system and everything else. So it's like, our diamond light or a diamond level of consciousness, the clarity of that level of being that we then that have that knowingness, and also the vibration of it in our daily life. So, that was the biggest point about that I had really, that I'm recalling from, last year at this very, pretty much the same time of the year, right at the beginning of January 2014, I was sharing, and it was coming to me to share. Throughout 2014, we've stepped more into our shoes. We've integrated more of our own stepping more into our own inner joy, peace, love, and happiness. We're letting go and dissolving more of our, say, separation, more of our resistance that we've been holding on to. And I'm not talking about just individually, but also collectively. This is what we've done. And we've been able to transform and dissolve a lot of the density that we were holding on to as a collective as we evolved and moved through 2014. The the biggest point about all that is that it takes the willingness and also the centering ourselves and integration and trust of love and our own being that allows us to expand in those ways. It's been an incredible ride, as we go through change. It might be chaotic, it might be confusing, but where we take the time to center ourselves, everything seems to balance out. And I think that a lot of people on Earth, that we're starting to really step into that knowingness and of our own power of creating and what we create and how responsible we are for what we create. Being conscious co-creators of this new paradigm of Earth. So, going into 2015, I see it as and some people are sharing on Facebook, it's the year of the now. And, it might be fun to say that, happy now year and so on. But really, it's more aligning in the present now is what we are doing. And the example that's been coming to me to describe this is, as it's been said and written for a long, long, long time, suffering is, when we're in fear, when we're in separation, is actually a form of suffering. And this, living in the past or the future is a slippery slope. So let me give you a visual that is coming to me to share regarding the slippery slope of living in linear time. We can, through our consciousness, our perception of linear time is pretty much just a straight line in a lot of different ways. But as we're evolving, we're centering ourselves more within the present moment. So in a way, you could view as the center moment here, and then as either the past or the future on either side of this. And as we're evolving, the straight line is becoming more of a U shape, where the present moment is in the bottom of that U. You could sort of imagine that in your awareness now. And so, as we're continuing to evolve into more of our multidimensionality, more and relaxing into the present moment, basically we're settling ourselves within the base of this U. So if we're trying, and if our awareness goes too much and lives too much in the future, of course it's a slippery slope. There's always struggle. There's always, in some kind of ways, it's a challenge to always live in the future. And the same thing for the past. If we're always just bringing what happened to us in the past into the present moment of you, it's always a slippery slope because you're always in a struggle. And we've been doing this for so long, these patterns and these perceptions and these beliefs about ourselves and about us as a collective, that it's becoming harder and harder to live in the slippery slopes of the past or the future. So as we let go of this suffering, or this struggle that we're carrying over from the past, or things that might have happened to us in the past, or we've held against ourselves, and we actually take the time to forgive ourselves, or something else in the world, or another person, that really keeps us centered or tied into that slippery slope of the past. It allows us just to relax in the base of the U. And it's not something that pretty much we can just tell other people, and we could share the knowledge of, of forgiveness, of self-love or self-inner trust. But it's up to each individual, no matter what age they may be, it's up to every individual to let go of this slippery slope, no matter of the past or the future. And it's just to relax into the present moment. A lot of people in their perceptions, and it's hard to imagine, like, well, how am I supposed to create if I don't think of the future? How am I supposed to plan? How am I supposed to remember, like, the lessons that I've learned in the past? And how am I supposed to learn from those lessons if all I do is forget about them, or if I don't plan? It's not that those lessons are forgotten or the planning is no longer happens. It's a matter of the you becomes one. There's no more struggle, but at the same time, the manifesting ability becomes more instantaneous and also more in harmony and balance. Therefore, you can create without struggle. We can manifest without struggle. We can have remembrance of our past lessons and remembrance without a roller coaster ride of, say, dualistic energies. We can have remembrance in harmony and balance. And we do that by living within the present moment of the you. So that is one of the biggest points that I'm sharing in this video, is that as we evolve and we move forward and things continue to evolve and transform here on Earth and within ourselves, is that all we are doing is letting go of the struggle. We're letting go of the separation from our eternal centeredness in the present moment. It sounds simple. It is simple in a lot of different ways. To do it is simple. It's a matter of us just taking the time to observe what we are holding on to, that the struggle, whatever we holding on to let go of that resistance, to transform it, dissolve it, that allows us to settle and relax into this present moment. I wrote down some notes, so keep me centered and focused also on what I wanted to share here. It's this integration in a lot of ways that I've personally gone through over this last year is to see also of the shifts that we've been talking about, even for many 10, 20, hundreds of years. And we've been talking about the shift of the ages, the age of Aquarius, the new Earth, and around 2012 it was the shift, the end of time, and all the stuff that we've been projecting. And in some people, and I've written before and using the different descriptions of, say, fifth dimensional awareness, fifth dimensional living, and so on. In so many ways, from what I see now and what I feel and what I'm getting, is that the shift that we have been talking about and have been perceiving and looking to has already happened. The shift has already happened. What we are doing now and from now on is basically aligning with the shift that already has happened. We're dissolving and settling into and the adjusting to and acclimating to something that already has happened. The earth is already into a fifth dimensional state. In a way, what we're doing now is just settling in and relaxing and becoming more one with the shift that's already happened. So on a personal level, from now on, as I present information, as I share, I'm no longer going to be sharing information regarding an upcoming shift. I'm going to be sharing information and resources that assist with harmony and balance in your life in the present moment, because that's where basically we're aligning more with the shift that's already happened. And this is just my own personal choice. You know, I'm just sharing with you my own revelations, my own changes that I'm making within my own life. That, you know, no matter what we do from here on, the shift that we've been talking about for so long has already happened. So, I'm gonna let this boat go by. So it's like the words that have been coming to me to share regarding this is providing tools and resources that assist with harmony and balance in the now, in your own life in the now. And that sort of goes into the theme of what I was talking about regarding 2015. It is the year of the now. It's the year of living in the present moment. Letting go of the slippery slope of living in the past or living in the future, and living in the now that encompasses all of those levels. So, those are a couple of the big things. I wrote down some things for you to reflect, and some statements, and to just see how to share with this review. And the first one is, what has happened to you up to this moment in time does not matter. What matters is what you do right now. What decisions are you going to make now? Not in the future. Not putting off anything else. Letting go of the slippery slope of living in the past and bringing all those perceptions, self-doubt, and we may have been holding on to, say, I'm not good enough, or all those things that are that's tied up in our mental projections, and again living in that linear projection of in the past, bringing those into this now moment of the new earth, is just letting it all go. What we do individually, and what we do as a collective right now is what matters. It does not matter who manipulated who, and who is manipulating who, and what has happened thousands of years ago, or millions of years ago, or even 10 years ago. Is, as I shared in my last video about how happiness is changing the world, is we letting go of the pointing of the fingers and holding on to those grudges, those perceptions and fears and worry and anger and frustration, and having awareness of what has happened, but not bringing that dualistic pattern and those energies into this space, because they will not be able to exist in the new paradigm of Earth. The energetics do not align. So the more that we basically dissolve with those perceptions and those energetic ties that we're holding on to, it allows us to relax into that present moment of pure harmony and balance. So forgive, love, trust, center yourself. It's okay to have discernment. If there was manipulation by somebody else or somebody, it's no longer, all you're doing is making the choice to no longer co-create with them. You can have discernment. You can have, say, awareness of the way the world has been and what has happened up to this point. But it's no longer holding on to the dualistic battle any longer. And that includes any being on any level and or any person in any form. I'm talking about everybody and everything throughout the spectrum of this levels of duality. It's just letting it go. If we continue to carry over the battle will continue. So it's up to us individually and also collectively to settle into the present moment, to settle into the you. The second part is the only imbalances and suffering we may experience within our lives is due to resistance. The only suffering that exists in this world, or we experience physically, emotionally, mentally, those imbalances in the world in themselves comes from resistance. It's the resistance that we're holding on to of the separation from the one of us. As we release the resistance and the continued challenging time of living in the slippery slopes of the past and the future, we allow and releasing the resistance that basically allows the continuous light and energy of our collective self to be one. Releasing the resistance. Sometimes releasing the resistance is not very easy, because when we're holding on to those dualistic patterns, and we continue to do so as this physical world transforms into a lighter density, it might be a challenge, yes, but it's as we go through change on the other side, there's always greater harmony and balance. So is to always, as we let go of pointing the fingers and blame to anyone or anything else, at the same time we are releasing that resistance, because those pointing the fingers and that holding onto that we have been doing is resistance, and that's where it creates the imbalance. From your own God self-awareness, from your own diamond pure beauty that you are, is anything other than that is resistance, because everything is the diamond, the multifaceted clarity. And so anything other than that is pure resistance. And the more that we align ourselves within that clarity, that centeredness, within this relaxed state of being, everything becomes more clear. So, moving on to the third part. Allow yourself to dance in the storm. As change continues and transforms here on Earth, the storm can be anything. It could be a transformation of your own life in some way, in a job, that may have come to a head and no longer aligns with your own inner happiness. And therefore, a situation happens, we ask the universe for something, we're asking for greater harmony, joy, peace, love, and happiness in our life, and we will create it, and we will manifest it. And so that situation may come out in our job that we may be doing, and it might be a very dramatic experience. But what happens from there on basically may lead into a job that aligns with more of your own inner happiness. Same thing with relationships, not only with our partners, but maybe with our family members, our extended family, the relationship we may be having with ourselves, or say with us as a collective, and so on. These roles and relationships that we are in our perceptions are changing. They are evolving. The more that we release those old perceptions, those old ways and patterns, again, it allows us to weather and go through the storm of that change or that chaos that we may be perceiving in the world, or some kind of change that's happening in some level in the world that may be very, very dramatic. But again, we move through change with greater ease as we align ourselves in harmony and balance. What exists within us is reflected in the outside world. And it's all through our own perceptions of what we are holding on to within is reflected into the outside world. It is through our own personal transformation we change the world. Through our own perceptions and actions. So, let's see, the fourth part. We've been living in seclusion of the truth. As the veils continue to dissolve, more of the truth becomes known. How are the veils dissolving? Is through our own inner change, which changes the magnetics and the energies of our collective awareness and beingness. Through the inner changes, those changes are reflected in the outside world of the physical. So, living in seclusion is what we have perceived as the 3D world, basically as a state of consciousness and being in time and space that is, we've been living in seclusion. So basically, if you viewed, my notepad fell down. If we view the 3D world as a sphere, and our perception of the 3D world as a sphere, within that sphere of living is basically seclusion. Once the veils of this perceived 3D, 4D world continues to dissolve, basically all we're doing is expansion into the expanded levels of existence, into our expanded existence, into our collective being, even beyond our levels of perception and beliefs and awareness, into the expanded truth. So, many years ago, it's said that the truth can no longer be hidden as we move forward in time. The reason for that is because the truth is becoming known because of the resistance and separation is being dissolved, which allows for expansion. As we let go of the resistance, we relax into this expanded knowingness, and it changes our life. We basically evolve into a more lighter density form that experiences reality in more harmony and balance, of knowingness of our expanded beingness. And that is the dissolving of the separation resistance into our expanded truth. So that goes into that part. The most important part that goes into, along with settling in this present year of the now, and from not only this year of the now, but the continuous now, is we remembering and reminding ourselves that fear creates contraction. Instead of expansion, fear creates contraction. Wherever we have separation within the levels of our being, no matter what perception or energetics that we're holding on to of separation, that creates separation and contraction. Divine love without conditions is divine protection. Where divine love without conditions and that diamond inner light that you are shines, there is no more need for protection from the old dualistic views that we have held on to for a long, long time. So allow and release and transform those patterns of the fear of contraction, because basically that contraction in itself is held on to within the levels of our energetic systems in order to expansion into these fifth dimensional energies that we're integrating now into the expanded levels of Mahatma love, the microtronic energies, the pure cosmic light. There is no separation there. In order for those energies to be integrated within our energetics individually and also collectively, it's releasing those perceptions, because those perceptions is what holds our energetics in place within the veils. Again, the truth is known as, or becomes known and integrated in a greater way as we expand. So as fear creates contraction, love allows for expansion. So love allows for expansion. And again, this is up to every individual how we integrate this. Just as I'm sharing this with you right now, is to take of it that aligns with your own inner heart knowingness and just leave the rest. I'm not talking about, and then I'm not sharing a belief system. What I'm sharing here is a choice that we all have, not only individually, but collectively, to live in harmony and balance with one another and within ourselves. So just take of it that aligns with you and just leave the rest. As I shared earlier, from this day that I will be sharing, I'm sharing information and resources that assists with your own inner harmony and balance in the now. Take of it as you like, but I'm putting it out there for all that wish to allow for their own change to take place. And for all that do not say align with this information and want to continue on their own path, no worries. I'm not holding any judgment against you or to anyone that chooses to continue on as they do or are. I bow to you just like I bow to anyone else, and to myself. We have the choice to live our life as we wish, no matter as an individuals or as a collective on earth. So those are the biggest things from here on in with us. just wanted to make sure that I wasn't moving on anything else here. So those are the main points. Remember the you. You are you. Allow yourself to not only be the you that encompasses both the past, future, and also present moment. Live in the continuous moment of the continuous you. So, I think that's it for this 2014-2015 review. We will see what happens in 2015, what we choose to create together, what we choose to create individually. Tomorrow is in our hands. It's no one else's. It's in our hands. And I invite you to watch the last two videos that I have shared in the last week or so regarding the changes in time and also how happiness is changing the world. So, blessings to you all and your families, to us as a collective, in the year of the now, and from this point in time, may we walk together in harmony, balance. How long it takes to get there is our choice. We can enjoy and dance in the storm. Again, it's our choice. So, here's to you all in the year of the now. I will see you all next time. Namaste.